Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Olivia. You may also know me as the Carnivoreballerina, and today is going to be the second episode of a series that I said I would make on my journey starting ballet late. My first intro was just talking about a kind of like summarized history of how I got into ballet and everything up until now, and then today I'm going to talk about my training when I joined the National Ballet School in Uruguay when I was 14, and what that was like and what I learned, and also just a bit before that because of course I had to be doing something before I actually got in. So that's basically what this video will be about, and some tips as well. So yeah. If you wish to support me in the channel, you can use code ballerina for lip balm products, which I'm currently wearing and love, from Claire & Fritz Tallow. Everything will be linked down below in the description. I also have leotard patterns, and we are getting all of our stuff. So if it looks like I'm being held captive in a basement, it looks like that. We're getting our belongings in less than a week. So I will be putting out more leotard patterns because at the moment I have, I think, 5, and I made a bunch, but of course I didn't bring them all with me because I don't know, I didn't need to. But yeah, so anyways, everything will be linked down in the description if you would like to purchase a pattern. They're fairly simple to make if you have basic sewing skills. And you can customize it to your liking. So yeah, all that's down below, and yeah, without any further ado, here is the video. So before I actually got into the ballet school, which I ended up doing my training with when I was 14, I auditioned when I was 13. It was like a week, or no, it was actually like 3 weeks before my birthday. I auditioned December 29th, yep, just before New Year's, and that audition was pretty hilarious. I think I mentioned in my starting ballet journey video thingy, whatever, that we went to the hotel, which was like 2 blocks away from the school. I devoured a hamburger and french fries, and then went and did the audition, which was, if you know what wearing a leotard is like, you'll know that that is not fun, and you can't really move after eating that much food, especially for the size that I was. I was very small. I was 13, almost 14. Yeah, so before going to this audition, I gotta give some context. I was not really training at all. I did nothing. I think I already said this as well in that video. I'll just have to link it down below. Yeah, I did nothing for like a full 2 months, I think. The only thing that I did a week before the audition was my sister and I danced for like this Christmas party thing. So my sister did her 2 solos because she was still dancing at the time. I danced 2 solos, which I choreographed horrifically, and I can find them and put them at the end of this video, but they were terrible. And the point shoes, everything about it is, I have to say, it was pretty good for my knowledge of ballet, but so you can understand why I still don't understand why they took me, why they accepted me from that audition. You'll be able to understand why I'm just confused on that by seeing these videos, which I will put at the end of this video. Yeah, so the only, let's say, like training or thing that I did apart from just walking around and doing stuff on our farm was that show. And I choreographed, like I said, a bluebird variation and a sugar plum fairy variation because I love bluebirds and it was Christmas, so it was fitting. So we did that, and then a week later I had my audition, and I think what got me into it, and this is where I do believe in visualizing or visualization and the law of attraction, was I knew that I was going to get in. I knew I wasn't great, but I just had this big confidence to me, and I thought I need to get in because my mom told everyone I was going to this audition. The owner of the house at this party that we went to where I performed dance I choreographed, had told everyone there, she's going to the school, she'll be auditioning, and I thought, I'm gonna get in. And that's what happened. I ended up getting in. A lot of the girls that went to the audition were a lot more qualified to get in compared to myself, but for whatever reason I was accepted. Yeah. Basic rundown of the audition was I got there, I was the second person called in, which was a bit nerve-wracking. We were called in to go to a separate room to get our number and to just warm up, and I didn't know what warming up was, so I just copied the other girl that was there, and in my very horrific, it wasn't horrific, okay, I'm over-exaggerating, in my not-so-great Spanish, because I didn't know Spanish quite so perfectly then. It's pretty good now. But yeah, I just said, "Hi, my name's Olivia," and she was looking at me like, "Why are you talking to me?" Because it's supposed to be like a competitive thing. It's an audition. You say hi and whatever, but you don't become friendly, because essentially you're there competing against everyone else, trying to prove that you're better and that you need to be taken in. So yeah, she was just like, "Hi," which was kind of funny looking back. Anyways, I just copied everything that girl was doing as in warm up. And then we went into the audition. And I think what got me through that audition and got me into the school was I was on a sidebar and I just stood there smiling the whole time. I did not know what it really was like to pick up a combination. For those of you who don't do ballet, it's just where the teacher's marking out a certain like choreography, and then you're supposed to immediately remember it after the teacher shows it 2 times, and then do it in the moment, to a piece of music you possibly have never heard before in your life, but you should know phrasing and counts you'll know what the teacher's counting is, and then be able to do it. I don't know if that made any sense at all, but if it did, good. If not, I don't know. Maybe I'll show a sample class sometime. We'll see. But yeah, I didn't really understand any of that aspect. I knew that teacher marked something and you're supposed to do it, but I wasn't really too familiar with proper like ballet class type of thing. And the teacher that was teaching the class, I learned later on, of course, once I joined the school, that she was the teacher for the first level, so the first year, so very strict, very exact, very foundational level stuff. So you have to be exact, have to be very strict so that people stay in line, especially when you're 8 years old. You have to follow along what the teacher says. So the point was that the class is structured very well, and yeah, I didn't get any of that. One hilarious memory that I do remember, and I don't know why it stuck out the most to me, was we were standing in first position. That's when you just have your feet like this on releve, and we were balancing, and I couldn't hold the balance for the life of me, and that's like one of the easiest balances you can do because you are on 2 legs, and it's very basic, and I was like all over the place, and the balance was like a total of, I don't know, 5 seconds, and I couldn't hold it at all, and we had a lot of time to like hold onto the bar, get steady, and then let go. Couldn't do it. I remember the girl in front of me was balancing there, like not moving. She was like a statue, and I was just like fumbling all over the place. But I think once again what got me through was after all my fumbling, I went down, finished, and then I had this huge smile on my face, and I was like making all this eye contact with the teachers, and especially this one teacher, which is where I also think sometimes things happen for a reason. This one teacher who everyone knows, she's very scary. I was very scared of her always. I've never understood her personality. She's all over the place, which makes it even more mysterious to be a teacher like that, because then the student is constantly wondering what in the world you're thinking about them. She's obviously very strict on technique, but she was very more so touched by how you presented yourself as like the drama part, the acting part, what you portrayed yourself, if you enjoyed, if you were smiling, if you were really in the role of something, or if you were just doing the technique. If you were just technically doing something, she did not care at all. No matter how perfect you were, you needed to display something. If you were not great at technique or even bad at technique, but you displayed something that would touch her emotionally, especially an audience who doesn't really understand ballet technique and wouldn't really care, it's that would be more important in the end. And I think that's probably what touched her, I'm hoping. This is just my theory based off of looking back at the whole situation. And yeah, I just kept eye contact with her the whole time and was smiling and like really enjoying myself because I enjoyed it, essentially. So try that at an audition. Not making excessive eye contact because that's just creepy, but enjoying yourself and not taking it too seriously. After taking a lot of adult drop-in lessons, and I wanted to make a whole new video on this, I've come to see a huge difference between students and professionals compared to adult dancers who just started when they're older and they're doing it for the fun of it. I prefer watching them sometimes because they just display so much more how much they enjoy doing it compared to a professional who's very strict, always focused on the technique. Of course, you have to be on top of that as well, but somehow it's a lot more touching to see a dancer who's older, who's not that they're going to go to a company and get paid. I'm not saying that, but it's just like a lot more emotionally fulfilling to see the joy that it brings them. No matter how bad or whatever it is they've done something, they still love it, and you can see that on their face and through their movement. Whereas if I'm watching a professional in class, they just have like a talking stick. They just have like a non-emotionless face, and they're just focused on technique. And I do that too. I'm fully aware of that. But I just think there's something to take out of that. Anyways, that's a whole nother thing to talk about. But yeah, that's what I think got me through the audition. And the only other thing that I remember from that audition, and I think I already mentioned this, was I don't have amazing feet. They're okay. There's a lot of weird things that go on if you don't know ballet. Like, people comment on your amazing feet. You have amazing feet. You have amazing legs. You have an amazing chest, even if it's like nicely proportioned. You have amazing shoulders. I mean, there's a lot of really silly things that people say, which if you don't know anything about dance, you'll just be like, what? So I don't have amazing feet, but they were pretty good. They weren't bad, they weren't amazing, but they were good. And one of the audition teacher, she took my foot, she just grabbed my foot like this and was like displaying it to everyone, and I was pointing it all wrong, like trying to make it as pointed as possible, because I did know that it had to be really pointed. So that was the only other like memorable thing from it. So fast forward, I got in, and then I attended like a summer course so that they could understand our levels more. Out of I think like 40-ish girls that were auditioning, 3 of us were accepted. One of the girls that was accepted was also American, and she and her brother ended up leaving after I think like 2 or 3 months of going to the school. And then there was another girl who left I think the same year that I left. I'm not quite sure. Anyways, so of course, based off of one audition of like 2 hours, you can't quite tell the exact level of someone. So they told the 3 of us we were going to come to this summer course, and we're just all going to be placed in groups with our ages. So there were girls in the last graduating level that were in my class that I was attending, and then there were girls that were like just starting the older levels, which would be 5th, 6th, 7th, and the 8th years of ballet. So there's 8 years in total. It's the 4 older levels. So from then and up, that was who was attending the summer course, and then us who auditioned. And that was one of the most difficult summer courses I've ever done in my life, because everything was so difficult. I had never done any ballet classes like that. I had pas de deux, I had point, I had modern, I think. Yeah, I had modern. I had theater class. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, all of it just very difficult to me. And at the end of the summer course show, we were given a piece of paper saying whether we were still accepted and which level we would be in. And I read the level, and I saw that it was 3, level 3, and I was like, I'm quitting ballet. This can't be serious. 3. And the director's like, here you go, congratulations and everything. And I'm like, I'm not happy. I didn't understand the extent of how bad I was, though, and I remember for the rest of that year I was trying to get bumped up to the 4th level, also just because of my age. I was 14 then, in 3rd year, and it was just very humiliating and embarrassing for me to be that much older and to be in a younger level. But of course I had become friends with 2 other girls that auditioned in my audition and that got in, and when we were looking at our pieces of paper, they're like, oh my god, what'd you get? And I was like, 3. I was trying to like avoid telling them, but of course in the end I had to tell them what I got, and they're like, oh, that's so amazing, we got into 2, level 2, but both of them were like 2 or 3 years younger than me, so not as much of a problem. But yeah, so of course I went there. I'm very glad that I was placed in 3rd year and not in 4th year or 2nd year, and was never bumped up, because as it was, I think putting me in third year was a bit of a push, looking back, especially with my capabilities and range of motion. And I'm very, very happy I was put in third year as well because of the teacher that we had. She was Brazilian. She was amazing. Still love her. And I ended up doing private lessons with her for the next year for a good 4 months, as well as attending the school. And she was amazing. She got me to a better level, but I wasn't fully capable or understanding of what ballet was to fully intake everything that she was telling me. She was outwardly telling me all these corrections and things, and I couldn't really process exactly what she was saying, so I could have gotten a lot more out of it if I had fully understand ballet. Yeah. But for the sake of keeping this short, I will just give like a couple audition advice tip things. A lot of people say this, and I'm just going to have to agree with it. Go into an audition just thinking of it as an extra class. If it's free, you got a free class. If you have to pay $15, it's a $15 class. It's not 20, 60, whatever it is. And you get to see all these other girls. You can look at some people, and if you like something out of what they're doing, you can take that and remember it for adding on to yourself later on. I like to go into an audition having absolutely zero expectations, without any like grasping onto, I need to have this. It is good to be motivated and to want something, but I think if you're too desperate, you're putting that out there, and maybe your desperation might not work. I don't know. That's my process, is I must have this, and if I don't, I'm going to die. That is a good thing to some extent, but at the same time, I think if you have absolutely zero expectations out of something and then you receive something, it's a win. It's not a loss. I don't know, that's just stupid, but I've noticed that to be better with myself. When I go somewhere and have zero expectations and then end up getting something, it doesn't have to be an audition. It can be something with life, a job, and then I do get the job or get into the school or the company, whatever it is, then it's a lot more fulfilling as well. It would still be very fulfilling if you desperately wanted it and did end up getting it, but I don't think you should be extremely attached onto something. So if that resonates, then take it. I don't know. I think another great thing, especially in the US, is, and everywhere, this applies everywhere, if you are auditioning for a company, it's good to look up what their dancers, who they already have as dancers, and then what they're looking for. So then you can tell through the dancers kind of what they're looking for. If everyone is a certain height, if they all dance with a certain style, if they all jump a lot, if they all turn a lot, what they're performing. This can also help you so that, let's say, even just 1 month before going to the audition, you have a bit of time to work on these things a bit more so that you can show what they already have. This doesn't apply to all companies. Sometimes they're looking for something completely different, so it really is a personalized thing depending on the director, but just having a bit of the history of the background of the company is helpful, or school. And one last thing that I'm going to add, if you are auditioning for a school or a training program, and teachers have said this to me, you don't need to be perfect, and I've heard this from people online as well saying this, Catherine Morgan, you don't need to be perfect because you are auditioning to learn more. You don't need to already have mastered something. As long as you show that you're willing to learn, willing to put in the effort, the hard work, and just have the mindset, people will kind of know. People can kind of tell about that. And you don't want to be too like closed off in your own little world in the corner, warming up, headphones on and everything. Yeah, if you need to do that for your before ritual, okay, go ahead. But you want to be someone who also can integrate very easily, especially with companies are looking with people. They're looking for people. I worded that wrong. They're looking for people who can integrate well. But so for a school, going back to my initial tip, you don't have to be perfect. Don't worry about having quadruple pirouettes, perfect high jumps and everything, especially depending on the level that you're auditioning for. If it's a younger level, way less pressure. Not that you shouldn't be practicing, but you're going there to learn, so you don't need to stress out too much about being absolutely perfect in everything. Yeah, so that is kind of a rundown of my audition story plus a tiny bit of my training. I'm going to get into this. I do have a series planned out, so if you're interested, I can just kind of list it so that you can look forward to it. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about restarting when I was 17 because I missed a lot and then I got sick and I had all these health conditions. So restarting at 17 and what that training was like, and then how I actually did stay motivated whilst moving to a new country, having depression, other personal issues, as well as just having no friends because everything was locked down where I was, and I was new, so it's not like I could have easily have met people in a normal situation. So yeah, how did I find motivation, and how hopefully you can find motivation. So those two things. Also becoming flexible at 18. I already did film something like that, but it doesn't give a full rundown of different things, so it'll be a bit more targeted as to me physically doing some stretches as well. So that creating strong technique, how you can fix your technique. I have already mentioned a floor bar, which you can find on my TikTok series, and then also a translated version here on YouTube. So there's that too, with plus a lot more tips on how to keep it and create it. And then the big one, which has been a bit more talked about recently, but not too much, drama and criticism in the ballet world, how to take it and how to not take it personally, and how to use it properly and not take it personally, I guess, and imposter syndrome and feeling worthy enough to be or to go audition or to go whatever it is. So those are the topics that I'm going to be covering, and if you have any other things that you want me to touch up on, feel free to comment them below. If you have any questions or something like that, you can do the same. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful, maybe entertaining, hopefully informative. Yeah, so thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon.